Hello everybody, Crypto Chaperone here, and today I'm just going to make a quick little video for you guys. I didn't really intend to make a video, but I think there's just a few things going on in cryptocurrencies right now that you guys need to just kind of be aware about and understand before going into this next year if you're kind of fretting about your portfolio fluctuating at the moment or whatnot. I'm sure over the past day or two you've noticed the complete moonshot Ripple has taken. Now, if you were watching Ripple on CoinMarketCap's average, I think it was going up to 260 to 270, $2.70, not 270. But compared to where it is now, it is starting to recede a little bit. So, a lot of people were talking about don't buy into Ripple, don't get stuck holding the bags. And you continuously just saw over the past 24 hours, Ripple just fluctuating in these high spots. Now you have to realize that Ripple is only $2. So every 10 cents that Ripple fluctuates is essentially 5%. So Ripple right here went from 278 the whole way down to 231. So that's 40 cents right there. That's about 20% Ripple fluctuated. Now Ripple is doing these major fluctuations. I'm assuming that was just manipulation in the market, so whoever was holding mass amounts of Ripple could just get more people to spend their Bitcoin by fluctuating the markets, and they were still selling their Ripple when people were buying at the all-time highs because they thought Ripple was going to go up. So it seems like Ripple now is starting to pull back a little bit, and if you are somebody that was looking to buy into Ripple and maybe you were just feeling like a complete ass about yourself because everybody and your stomach even told you, don't buy into Ripple, but you just saw it keep going up and up and you just saw these potential profits being missed. And now it is starting to pull back a little bit. So it's a better feeling for people who didn't invest and, saw this miss out. And potentially if you're somebody who did invest at one of the high points, you might want to watch. I've heard a lot of rumors about this being added to Coinbase, and if it does get added to Coinbase, you do run the potential of another little pump coming up. But there's also the potential that Coinbase does not add this coin at all. I've never really looked into Ripple more. I did invest in Ripple. It was one of my first kind of cryptocurrencies I invested in. I never really understood it. I understood it was a banking cryptocurrency and it was tied to banks kind of doing like sending money more or less to each other. But I never understood why the average individual person had to own or acquire any shares of Ripple or anything. That'd be like if banks were offering shares of wire transfer coins or something like that. Banks were sending money to and from each other with, and you could invest in these coins. You don't really have a reason to. So there's even a potential Coinbase might not list Ripple. I don't really see a reason anybody would need to hold Ripple if it's really a bank coin, but I could be wrong. There could be some actual things behind it. I don't think there's any developments or anything really behind it. There's a lot of stuff they say is going to go on, but there's really nothing. And even one of the developers behind Ripple tweeted out something saying that you don't want to, more or less he was just saying you don't want to get caught holding the bag, because he was saying that the price was fluctuating based on more or less of rumors or what people thought was going to happen. It didn't say necessarily that in straight up English, but pretty much it just inferred that the way that he tweeted it. So it seemed the way that he tweeted that the price was not going to sustain, and potentially there could be something coming up that people wouldn't be too happy about if they did invest a lot of money into it at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that Ripple can't go up in the future. Ripple could go to $4 or $5, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen instantly. And, a lot of people that jump into this space, they have this instant gratification. They see all these coins going up 20, 30, 40% in a day, and they're going to see maybe a coin that they bought into dropping 10, 20%, and they're going to feel really bad about it, more or less, and they're going to try to sell out, go to another coin. It could be good or bad depending on what the coin they were invested in does. If it continues to go downward, then they probably made a better decision than holding on to it. But potentially in the long run, maybe the coin will recover and go higher, and maybe something will come out of it. But you have to also understand that Ripple does have a 999 billion circulating supply in there, or that's actually the total supply. In the circulating supply at the moment is only 38 billion. So there's 61 billion other coins that are not even circulating, that developers and everybody else are holding, that could be potentially dropped onto the market. And they're not necessarily going to be dropped. I'm sure they're locked up. They're going to be used for banks and whatnot, and they're going to be burned and everything over time. But you just don't want to get caught with a token that is being pumped up that much in that short of a time. I know a lot of people were saying just don't buy into it, just avoid it. There was a big controversy about they were supposed to be having a partnership coming up with a company, and everybody thought there were going to be more and more partnerships rolling out. And they just released a ton of news about partnerships with Japanese banks and I think it was MasterCard or something like that. So definitely Ripple is something I would not invest in at the moment. It could continue to go upward. It could recover from here. It might just be seeing the pullback that all cryptocurrencies are seeing today. But I think the reason that we were seeing the pullback more or less over the past day was a lot of people were pulling their money out of alternate coins and putting it into Ripple. More or less, you saw all of these coins start to pull back, and Ripple was still up 40-50%. And then you'd refresh the page, and these coins would be a little bit more pulled back, and Ripple would be up still 40-50, maybe even a few more percent. So if your coin is potentially pulling back 5 or 10%, and there's a coin that is sustaining its price or even going up a little bit, I could see why a lot of people would want to put their money into that as kind of like a stability feature at the moment. Other than US dollar Tether, because I know a lot of people don't want to invest in that controversial token there. But other than that, I think this is going to be our last dip of the year. Well, I think it's the only way it can be because we're at the last days of the year, but I think this is going to be the last major dip we have. It's not even a real major dip. We've just kind of had our market cap fluctuating by little bit over the day, and it's been kind of just going up and down like an accumulation, more or less, it looks like. But you want to have an accumulation on the whole cryptocurrency space. So it's kind of weird to look at. Also, your Bitcoin dominance has been fluctuating massively. Now, I don't know if they just added this or I've just never scrolled down on this page, but if you go to cryptocurrency market caps, the coin market cap page, and you go to their market caps, and you can look at, they'll actually show you their market caps, and then they'll show you their market cap excluding Bitcoin, and you can look at that and see how much money has been going into alternate currencies except for Bitcoin. Now, I would assume that this was probably more or less money going into Ripple, and money was shooting into alternate currencies, and then there was a major pullout last night. And then it started to pump up again, and then it hit the double peak, and then there was another major pullout. So, a lot of people were potentially just, that could have been Ripple. A lot of people just putting their money into Ripple, and a lot of people selling off Ripple that they had massively accumulated back when it was in the 20 cents and 25 cents for, months on end. You can also scroll down here. It'll show you the dominance percentages for alternate tokens and Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin up here, carrying the bigger area of the graph, and it has started to pull back a little bit. Bitcoin was sitting at 40% throughout the day. This is a 1 week chart I have it set to. So earlier in the week, it was sitting up at 43%, and now towards the end of the week, we hit below 38% in the 37s, and we're sitting at a little above 38% now, 38.5% about. And you can see the other coins, but right here you can see that Ripple yesterday took this moonshot, and right when it took this moonshot seems to be the time that there was a very big pullout in cryptocurrencies. So it's really weird that there could be some sort of a correlation between this moonshot and the pullout of cryptocurrencies. I'm not really sure. You also had a very big pullout in your market cap. Essentially that would just have been from the same thing because it's the market cap with Bitcoin and without. So I don't know if that potentially had anything to do with it. Every other line seemed to be going fairly steadily except for Ripple, and when Ripple did take that major spike, that was when there was a little bit of other price action going on. So I don't know if they correlated, but I definitely wouldn't want to invest in Ripple at the moment. If it does get it added onto Coinbase, I still really wouldn't want to touch it. There's so many other coins that have future potential and future developments, and pretty much if they've already hit a price this next year, you can guarantee that if it's in one of these top 100 coins, they are going to hit this price again. You don't really have to worry about investing in IOTA and it not going back up to $4. It'll go back up there. This is the last pullback of the year. I think the last bit of money people were trying to pull out, and you're going to see, I think this is also the last little bit of shaking of new money, because you have people who are who invested over the holidays. Christmas was only a couple days ago, like 4 days ago. So Depending on how you buy your cryptocurrencies, if you do get into Coinbase or GDAX, if you're just one of the newcomers into cryptocurrency, it does, depending on how you sign up, take a few days for your cryptocurrencies to transfer, your actual fiat to transfer into your cryptocurrencies or into your account, depending on how you're doing it. So a lot of these people, they might not even fully own their cryptocurrencies. They might still be in the 4-day waiting period for their transfer from their bank to get their cryptocurrencies. And you have a lot of people who are still just waiting with their money going in, and maybe as soon as they get their coins, at this point they're already down a decent amount from their transaction fee that they spent, as well as with the 24-hour change is down. So they might be freaking out and just selling their coins for something else. So I think this is probably the last shake of the year we're going to see. Maybe the first couple days of January, but I think within our first 2 weeks of January, this whole market is going to be shooting up to all-time highs with a lot of these cryptocurrencies. I would say probably about 75% of these will be rocketing up to new all-time highs over the first month of over the first month of 2018. So if any of these currencies have hit like a major price point, some of them have pulled back 10, 15, 20% from their major price point, and essentially you could invest in it. And I mean, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but essentially you could more or less be guaranteed to get that return, that 25 or 30% or whatever it's pulled back, because these coins are going to go back up and this space is going to continue to grow. We had that South Korean news, as I talked about in my last video. They are not banning Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. They are simply cracking down on money laundering and all these people that are trying to arbitrage the markets by having just tons and tons of accounts that they aren't paying taxes for, and they're going on Korean markets and they're buying currencies and they're taking it to Japanese markets, and they're making the profit difference in between what those currencies are trading for. So essentially, as more and more governments start to crack down on this, more and more exchanges are going to start to add the KYC process. Poloniex has actually just announced that they were going to add it within, I think, the next 3 months or so. So if you do have cryptocurrencies in Poloniex and you have more than $2,000 and you refuse to add any of your information to the account, you will only be able to pull out $2,000, and then the rest will be locked in there until you put your information into the account. So if you do have more than 2,000 and you don't want to put your information into your Poloniex account, it's probably in your best interest to get your money out of there as quick as you can at the moment. Before I leave this and talk about the last thing I want to talk about real quick, Ripple, I was noticing, because I did buy into Ripple. I took it, I wrote it for like 10, 15 cents on one of the waves, and just took a very minor profit in it. But I was trying to sell at a higher point, and I was on Binance, and every time I was trying to sell on the Ripple page was freezing up. I could not do anything. I had to open up a whole nother Binance tab and get back into the Ripple page, and it would freeze again as soon as I would click on the page. Now I could go on to essentially any other tabs there were. I was going into the HODL'n token, I was going into Bread token, I was going into IOTA and looking at that a little bit, and I was having no trouble with those. But this was only at times when Ripple was at the very, very peak of its run, more or less, right before it was about to drop again. And I was not able to put in any of my sell orders, essentially, until Ripple dropped probably about 5 to 6%. And then I finally could get my order in because the page would stop freezing. So Binance has grown massively. I think it overtook Bitfinex as the largest exchange. And I think Binance is now trading the 24-hour largest exchange, more or less. So as cryptocurrencies start to boom, you have more and more people who are getting onto specific pages of cryptocurrencies, and the servers are going to pretty much be DDoS by how many people are getting into them, kind of how I had to open up a new tab and continuously do that. So you're going to have people who are also doing that, and that is counting as just more and more clicks onto the site. You could potentially have people who are one person who's clicking on that site 10 times, and you have 30, 40,000 people who are trying to buy and sell that coin at one time, and you have 400,000 clicks going on per second, per minute on that site, and it just can't keep up with what's going on, especially at that high point when everybody's trying to sell right there. And when the site finally becomes responsive, the price is dropped and you have a little bit of a crash going on by the time you can get your order in. So you definitely want to be aware of that if there's any currencies that are get really hyped up, kind of how Ripple has been in the past couple days. If you are trading on any of these high currency exchanges or high 24-hour rate exchanges like Binance or something like that, you might want to watch even Coinbase and GDAX and Kraken and stuff like that. I've been talking about are notorious for that. So the last thing I want to talk about today is, once again, John McAfee. You know, he's making more tweets. So in my last video, I talked about how John McAfee said that he came out and he said that XVG did not say that it was going to go. He did not say it was going to go to $15. That was a fake account. And he simply said it would possibly rise to 15 cents, which was, at the time, it was only less than a penny. So it would have been over 15 times from where it was. Now, he tweeted this on the 27th, which was 3 days ago, 2 days after Christmas. And essentially, that was when he started saying that his account was hacked and all these other fake accounts were coming out, and he was saying other people were trying to act like him and shill all these coins that he wasn't necessarily saying, and saying things that he wasn't saying, more or less. So today, all of a sudden, he came out again, and now he's starting to say that I recommended Verge when it was less than a penny, saying it might rise 100% or to 2 pennies. The price has been wrongly pumped beyond reason by referencing fake Twitter accounts on Instagrams. So essentially, he's just going back on everything that he said when he said it would go up 15 times and that would be the max it could possibly hit. I also saw something else saying he said that it could possibly hit $3 after he was called out about saying it could hit $15. So it wouldn't really surprise me if John McAfee just completely said that he didn't even know what Verge was, or Verge, he's never even heard of the coin tomorrow, because it seems that he is starting to say that Verge is going lower and lower than what his prediction was every day. So maybe tomorrow he'll say it was going to go up to a penny and a half, up 50%, and then he'll say he's never heard of Verge. But who knows, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of things going on in his world right now. If you haven't looked up on John McAfee, he is notorious for some things. He was on the run for a while for some things, and definitely getting into a notorious area like cryptocurrencies and pumping these massively and taking the gains and taking payments from people who are trying to get him to pump these coins. He's going to have eyes back on him again, and I'm sure that's not what he wants, and he's probably trying to get out of this again. So there's definitely going to be something going on down the road with John McAfee. Potentially, he might not even start talking about cryptocurrencies anymore. He might just make a private account, something. He might make a website and make people pay to be a part of it instead of talking about it on Twitter. Who knows what's going to happen? But for now, I would take everything John McAfee was saying with a grain of salt, pretty much the biggest grain of salt you could get, and I would not listen to anything he's saying. Every coin that he's talking about, more or less now, it's just killing the coin. For a lot of these coins, they're gonna grow back easily, but he kills the coin for people who have long-term investments in it, because he talks about it. It sees a little pump and then a massive sell-off, and people who have long-term holdings in this coin are getting screwed pretty much in the long term, because everybody's looking at this coin as a quick pump instead of what it's actually got. Because, you know, John, whatever you want to call him, Hackafee or Wackafee, however you want to refer to him anymore, since his Twitter has been hacked and everything he's saying is whack, you know, he's going to get people mad at him, and he's going to lose a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of big investors. And once people start losing a lot of money, he's going to have more and more eyes on him, more or less. So just whatever you do, I would unfollow John McAfee, unless you just want a couple laughs every day of seeing what he's talking about that he said he didn't say a couple days ago. So that's more or less all I've got for you guys today. I tried to make it a quicker video, but I still ended up dragging it out a little longer than I intended to. But for the most part, my next video, I do intend to release my ICO review video, my next one. I probably won't have that out till Monday, Tuesday. I intend to hopefully not look at cryptocurrency for a couple days, because I have not been sleeping the past 2 days, more or less watching my portfolio. Not even just my portfolio, just like all the coins that I more or less watch. I try to watch them and see any sort of patterns I can see, or see the best times to buy in on potential coins. So I'm waking up at 4 and 5 times throughout the night to look at these coins and see what's going on with them. And I just kind of want to take a good sleep, a good hearty through the night sleep. So potentially these might be my last good nights to sleep out through the 2017 year. So I'm going to really enjoy that and bring in 2018 the right way before this space massively grows to what we know it's going to grow to. So that's all I've got for you guys today, and I'll talk to you in 2018. Have a great new year, guys, and remember, if you haven't stepped into this space yet, it's definitely the time before we see the boom coming.